and welcome to episode 6 of Talking Tildas. I am your host, Nicholas Rupolo, and joining me today is Michelle Morris and Rosa Valente. You may be wondering, you're missing one guest, one panel member, the most pivotal figure in the Talking Tildas lineup. Well, Rose, the question on everybody's mind is, where is Chrissy?
Pivotal member.
Very.
Pivotal member. She is a very pivotal member. She had a mental breakdown after. No, she didn't. She did. But if you haven't read her article, she did have a mental breakdown. But no, Chrissy is feeling very unwell today. So we sidelined her. We thought it was best if we put her on the bench. Told her not to come out and stay home and get some rest. But she will be back with us for the next episode.
Yeah, there's more important fixtures coming up that we need to use our big guns for, and she will be back for our next episode next week. But the news, we all know, the Matildas were knocked out of the FIFA Women's World Cup in the round of 16 by Norway. Shock to all of us, really, and we're going to dissect that match leading up to it, the aftermath of it, right here on Talking Tildas, and we're going to get straight into it. Guys, before the match, we were confident. We looked at that lineup, it looked strong. It was the same midfield that was able to bring around a 2-0 deficit against Brazil to win 3-2. Did you guys ever think that the result would go the way that it did?
Well, if you do recall from the last episode, I did say that we were going to go into extra time. I did not exactly say penalties, and I did say that we would win. So I was quite prepared for
It's a visual representation of how the studio is falling apart.
I'm certain this happens every time.
A couple of things are falling apart.
Every time it needs to happen, it does. There's someone in the universe. Someone in the universe agrees
All right,
with us here.
We're just going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
But I didn't think that we would perform as crappy as what we did. Is the word I'm going to go for.
I think that's a word. That's a nice word for the way I would explain it. Michelle, what were your thoughts?
Okay, so the things that I said out loud was not how I felt on the inside.
And what did you say out loud?
So I was saying that we were going to win, right? I said we'd win 2-0. And that was me putting it out into the universe, hoping that it would happen. But I never thought that we would actually win.
I was a little bit the same. Yeah, true.
I blame you.
To be honest with you, European teams, wasn't all that confident, but you throw out that prediction where you want to stay optimistic, but unfortunately it didn't end up the way that we wanted it to. But 30 seconds in, Sam Kerr has a chance inside the box, skips past the defender. I was saying it while we were watching the match. She banks those every single time. That was
probably a really concerning moment, which we didn't realise at the time. We just thought, nerves, just the nerves. She'll be right. And now looking back at it, that's really concerning, and that was a telling story of the rest of the match.
It looks like that's. Besides, we're going to talk about referees and decisions a bit later, but it looks like if you were to look at ourselves in terms of where we lost this match, it looks like those early chances. Sam Kerr, 30 seconds in. Hayley Rasso had a couple of chances as well, cutting in on her left foot. We know now that on her left foot she is extremely weak. So, we're looking at those chances and we're thinking, okay, we did have clear-cut chances, but we just weren't able to finish them, Michelle.
Yeah, I think we have seen throughout this tournament that this team doesn't seem to perform well under immense pressure. The Italy game is so telling of that. They were scrambling and panicking and just trying to get anything going, and I feel like this game was quite similar in the sense that they had chances, they just couldn't get anything going, and they were just going into Rosette or whatever.
Do you kind of think, now looking back at it, that the Italy match, do you think they kind of psyched themselves out? Because do you remember when we were talking about the Italy match prior to the game, we were going on about how, fantastic the Italy lineup is and how threatening that team is. Do you kind of think that maybe they psyched themselves up and knew what they were coming up against and possibly, like you just said, just couldn't finish it under pressure?
I think a lot of people may have been thinking our group opponents weren't anything to write home about. So they thought we might be able to get 9 points or 7 points and not lose a game in this group, really. I don't think that's how they thought about it. I think they definitely knew that they had some seriously strong players. I mean, these teams aren't anything to walk over.
But that's what I mean, though. Do you think that they thought to themselves, this is a strong team, and they
Of
kind
course.
of psyched themselves out
Of
in
course.
that way?
I think with a coach like Ante Milicic and with players, in that squad that you have, like Lydia Williams and Sam Kerr, there's no way that they wouldn't have seen it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were thinking that they could breeze past this group stage. And that's a dangerous way of thinking, especially going into a World Cup. I think we got caught out by Norway's goal because we were on top. We had a couple of chances, like I mentioned, Kerr and Rasso, a couple in the first half an hour. But then what I saw for our goal that we conceded against Norway, it was just one lapse in concentration, in putting pressure on. Van Egmond doesn't put enough pressure on. Kellen Knight's out of position. Lagazo doesn't have the urgency to move in and put pressure on. And then Steph Catley misjudges the flight of the ball and they're in behind and they score. And I think that really is just telling of how, okay, we're up against a European opposition. You can tell, can't you? You can tell they were sharp. I mean, one chance and they've taken the lead. I mean, compared to the way that we squandered our chances, did you really feel that even when that goal went in, wow, we were up against it then?
Kind of. I didn't think that... I think overall, I didn't think that Norway were actually that great. I just think that we were worse. To put it in, plain
I think
term,
so. I agree with you.
Which is obvious because we were the ones who lost. But
only on
here...
penalties. Like in 120 minutes, it was 1-1. So over play.
I mean, we challenged them right to the end. But overall, I don't think that Norway were too threatening. I just think that we didn't take our chances, or when we did take our chances, like Sam Kerr in the first minute, they just didn't go in. So, yeah, we just weren't as good as that team, and that's really what it comes down to. I don't think Norway were the best opposition.
Do you agree? Like, in terms of the Matildas, they could have taken this game. They could have ran out winners, but they just simply weren't taking their chances, and they were just worse than Norway on the night.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you watch the game, like, that first half was ours. Like, we played so well in that first half. We had much more possession of the ball and we were passing. But, like, we just weren't getting chances. We weren't creating anything to get a goal, And then, we all know what happens. Like, there's a goal and everybody's upset and just dead. Like, it feels like the team had just given up at that point.
Momentum.
Yeah.
You thought they gave up?
It felt like, watching it, I was like, come on, just push, get the ball, do something, get a goal.
Such slow movement on the ball. So on the ball and not on the ball, everywhere. There wasn't as much urgency as you would like to see in a round of 16 knockout match.
She was really involved, but it was quite a contentious topic. Do you guys think that Hayley Rasso should have started ahead of Emily Gilnick?
No.
I'll go to you first. No?
No.
I'll go to you first because you already answered it.
Why do you think Rasso should have started?
Look, Chrissy's mentioned this before. She's just come back from a back injury, right? And that's great, and I'm so proud that, she's still playing for the national team. She's still playing, that's an incredible feat. But when you come back from an injury, you're going to still be wary of what you're doing. Like, my dad's done his ACL, and even he still is like, I don't want to play that much. I don't want to play that hard. So you're still worried. And I think she's probably a little hesitant to be as tough as she probably was before. We look at Robbie Cruz, who's come back from 3 or 4 knee surgeries, and now everybody rags on him because he's not the player that he was before. And that's probably because he's not as confident as how he used to be before all these surgeries.
To be fair, Rasso had a couple of chances and she did squander a lot of them. So in terms of getting into good positions, she did that. She did that job.
I think at the same time, when we saw Gilnick start, and then Rasso came off the bench, she had a much more impactful performance off the bench.
Rose, what do you think? Gilnick should have started?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with everything Michelle just said there. Confidence would be a big one. We were I think a lot of fans were hoping that, she would come out after coming back from such a massive injury, she's accomplished so much in the past year from coming back from that injury. We all thought that her confidence would be sky high, but maybe it was just the other way around.
Well, handballs, VAR, controversy. We're all going to talk about that just after this quick break on Talking Tildas. Welcome back to Talking Tildas. Well, guys, we're going to get straight into it. Torres Dotter. Ball comes in. The Norwegian defender. It seems to strike the upper part of her arm. Goes to VAR. Well, first of all, the referee gives a penalty. It's stopped. VAR check. They've said no penalty. Now, from one angle, it looks like the ball's come across and it's come across the upper side of her arm. But from another angle, it looks like maybe she's leaning into it, but it's hit her shoulder. We'll go to Rose first. What did you think? Penalty or no penalty?
I think it was a penalty.
Yeah? Penalty?
Yes, I have lots of thoughts on this.
Okay, well, we have plenty of time, so go ahead.
Okay.
What was going through your mind first when she gave it?
I
You
was
thought
like-
Stonewall?
I was like, here we go, penalty. Don't let Sam Kerr take the penalty. That was my first
Why'd
thought.
you think not Sam Kerr?
Because I knew she'd miss. 100% knew Sam was going to miss a penalty. If we had a penalty and Sam was to take it, she would miss it. My first thought was, please let Caitlin Ford take the penalty.
But in terms of the way the arm was positioned, and it came across, it looked like the shoulder. She did lean into it a little bit.
My thoughts are, okay, she's definitely leaning into it. So it's definitely intentional. That's the first thing. Because if you look at the way she is, her body was moving. She was leaning already. She was trying to get the chest, 100%. But obviously her chest was in a different spot than where I think she imagined it to be. Anyways, but the referee was right in front of the player when it happened. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, surely that's a pen if the referee is standing right in front and has the best angle out of everybody to see it. And she didn't hesitate as well to blow the whistle for the penalty. That's the biggest thing for me. I was like, okay, so she didn't hesitate at all. That means surely, that she's got the best angle to see it. Must be 100% a penalty.
Rose, when the penalty was given, what were your thoughts? Did you think that this needed to go to VAR? Or
No,
did you think they were going to overturn it when they went to VAR?
I did once it became lengthy because, as we all know as A-League viewers, that once it becomes a lengthy VAR, it's going to be overturned or, it's not going to go our way. So, yeah, you could see it happening because it just went on forever. But I watched, I think, about 37 replays and I checked Twitter probably 37 times. Then to keep checking the replays. And I'm sure, we all were just yelling all different things at the time when it was happening. Like, it's a penalty. Wait, is it a penalty? Is it a penalty? Yeah. She's leaning. It went on. It went on like that. But, yeah, to me, it was a penalty.
I'm going to disagree with both of you. I
All right.
I don't think... negative Nancy over here.
Nigel, no friends.
I'm gonna say it wasn't a penalty. Reason being, when I was surprised when it was given, first of all, because I saw that movement, but a part of me thought, okay, I know they're gonna go to VAR for this decision because even when she gave it, I thought I don't think this is concrete. And then this is the thing about VAR: rewatching it over and over again, replays, slower replays. The problem I had was from two different angles. One looked like a penalty, one didn't look like a penalty. And that's the problem that you get with VAR. But my first instinct was that I think it was probably a correct decision that it wasn't given eventually. But, we talk about, referees and the decisions by the VAR all the time. It changes the course of the game. There's another penalty shout that we are going to talk about a bit later. But halftime, 1-0 down. Were you guys confident that we could get back into this match at this point?
A bit.
A bit.
I didn't really know what to think at
That's
that
not
point.
confident at all, Rose.
I didn't know what to think. I was going back and forth the whole game. I was going back and forth. I was a little bit like, the ref looking at the VAR, going back and forth. I had no idea what to expect.
So, second half comes around. Hayla Raisa has another chance, butchers it with her left foot. At that point, I was ready to say, just take her off. At this point for her,
I think Michelle and I were yelling.
Yeah. well, the thing was, so many people saying Sam Kerr's best position is out towards the left a little bit, with Caitlin Ford, dropping in centrally. In that case, it doesn't really make sense for Hayla Raisa to come inside using that left foot. So she should probably just take it to the byline, use her pace and swing the ball across. But we found ourselves having, I think a lot of the time, we got a little bit mixed up when we got to the penalty box.
Yeah, that's very true. And as well, was it just me, or do you feel like Australia only have one game plan? Only have one, you know what I mean? Like, it seems to be so much of Kerr in the area, send through to Kerr. Like,
I think that was a theme of all 4 of our games.
Yeah.
Like
It looked
that
like-
scene in
yeah.
Kicking and Screaming when their game plan is give the ball to the Italians,
yeah.
and then they give the ball to the Italians, and then
Yeah, that's what
Then
give the
I'm
ball
not-
to Kerr. And I mean,
yeah.
we've got plenty of absolutely excellent players that we could have reshuffled a few things. And I said it on the last episode, like it got so monotonous, and it'd go from Gilnick to into the box and to Kerr. And you said, I'm sure they're going to change it around like for the next match. I feel like they did a little bit, but not entirely. It's just still was repetitive, and it wasn't working. I was getting frustrated watching. So I'm like, guys, this isn't working. Revisit, do something. Go into halftime, fix this up, because whatever's happening isn't working.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing, because I thought, like, in terms of our game plan, it was totally different to the one that we played against Jamaica. But in a way,
It still
the,
has some
the,
core,
move, the
some core
movement
principles
the
the
movement
same.
of Sam Kerr was exactly the same,
Yeah.
except that we played Hayley Raso instead. And so you didn't have that, what Emily Gilnick does, which is she occupies the fullback and she keeps her pin back, which gives so much space for our players to move. That's what we didn't get with Emily Gilnick in that match.
Yeah.
But an hour in, you said that you thought there was going to be a goal. Michelle predicted there'd be a goal in the hour, and the ball was in the back of the net by Sam Kerr, but it was ruled out for offside. Definite offside, obviously.
yeah.
That was,
But it was one of those moments where you thought, wow, we've gotten our chance, we've scored it, we've put it away. But it's at that point where, personally for me, I think this isn't going to happen. There's so
I
many
was the
things.
opposite at that point. I was like, that's cool, we still got it. Because
Ever the
you know,
optimist, ever the
it was-
optimist.
It was 1-0 for so long, and you know what it's like when that's your team, when you're
Yeah.
up 1-0
Yeah.
and you're like, we're about to screw this up. We have been 1-0 up for so long, they're going to get it in. It's going to happen. And I mean, it did. It did happen in the end.
Eventually.
But I still had faith. And Michelle sitting there for like every 5 minutes, it's going to go in at this minute.
Yeah.
She
Trying to predict the
predictions
time.
every 5 to 6
Yeah.
minutes. And then it goes in, well, technically I said this.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle.
So it goes in the back. She says an hour in, goes in the back of the net. It's ruled offside. She says, "Wait, but I still said that the ball will be in the back of the net in the hour mark," and it was. Technically, she was correct, but the 83rd minute was when the goal finally came for Australia, and it was one of those goals you thought, yep, in this kind of game with the chances that we've had, the goal that we're going to score is that kind of goal.
Yeah.
Crap off the corner, defenders totally miss it, ends up in the back of the net. I mean,
A lot of us standing there going, who actually scored
Who
that?
touched
Who
it?
actually got the touch? Like, we couldn't even figure out what
because
happened.
everybody thought it was Gilnick, and we
Yeah.
were like, yes, inspired substitution, amazing Gilnick
Yeah.
scores, but eventually Elise Keller-Knight was the player that took the corner and ended up in the back of the net. 1-1 at a perfect time as well, because he thought the momentum finally shifted with us again. But we had probably the most contentious penalty decision. Tamika Yallop, she was taken out in the box in the 89th minute, so tensions are pretty high. The contact from Torres Dotter, the Norwegian defender who was culpable for the first VAR check for the penalty, actually makes contact in her upper thigh when she goes in. But I've watched the replay over and over again. She gets the smallest touch on the ball when she goes in for that tackle, and that's what makes me think that they decided to not give a penalty for that, because there is the smallest touch which then goes onto the keeper.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that? Do you think it was a penalty?
That's so hard to say. 'cause
That one,
it's
yeah,
like,
I found that one hard.
If you touch the ball, sure, but like that's like the tiniest touch, and like you got to think about like obviously like intention. She's obviously trying to get the ball, but also it could be potentially a dangerous tackle. You know, you're also clipping somebody, you know, at the same time. So I don't know.
I think
Hardcore.
in real time, you couldn't see that touch on the ball. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to see that touch, which was why it surprised me so much when she actually didn't give the penalty, because it just looked like she came in the side of her and absolutely destroyed it. Only if you go back and look at it 10 times replay can you see that she actually gets a touch on the ball. But another decision that bypassed us, but there will be plenty more decisions that we are going to talk about right after this break.
Hey, where'd you get the mug?
You haven't heard? TheLadiesLeague.com.
Cool.
Hey, Welcome back to Talking Tildas. We're about to get into one of the most contentious, if not the most contentious decision in the match. Extra time. Australia, Norway, 1-1. Ball rolls through behind Alana Kennedy. Her and Utland are battling it out. Small tug of the shirt. Utland goes down. And Alana Kennedy's looking bewildered at the referee, expecting a yellow card, but she pulls out a red. And all of a sudden, Alana Kennedy is sent off, putting the Matildas down to 10 players. In extra time, guys... Immediate thoughts. What were you thinking? Yellow or red?
Yellow.
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 Need I say
Yellow.
one more time?
Yellow.
It was a yellow card, Mr. Speaker. I mean, well, in this, I don't think it was denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity because the ball rolled onto Williams like that.
100%. It was the ball was too far away for the attacker to be able to get to it. Also, just. It was like the smallest touch, for her to go down. Like she felt it and knew that she could get something from it.
Well, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
would, as any footballer would. Like you could feel it, and you could go, okay, this is my chance to create something for our team, a goal scoring opportunity. And so she fell, which is like, look, fair enough. Like I understand,
make the most of the contact.
Yeah, absolutely. But in no way was it a red card.
Yeah, because I think looking at the replay, I mean, Alana Kennedy does have her shirt, but she's not exactly like hacking her down. She's holding it, but not in a way that is totally impeding Utland, the Norwegian player.
Yeah.
And you can see that the motion for her to actually fall down is totally, on her own accord. She's going down.
Yeah.
So it's not because of Alana Kennedy's tug of the shirt. Rose, you thought it was a yellow?
I'm feeling a little bit PTSD right now. I feel like I've been through something and you're bringing it up again.
Well, we have to.
Attacked.
We have to. We need to find the answers.
I'm as attacked as Alana Kennedy was at the time.
The entire country, by the way, if you haven't seen her reaction to the red card, the entire country looked exactly like that when she got that red card.
Even the commentator.
Yeah. It was just crazy.
I mean, you listen to the commentator. I don't think even he was expecting it. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting a red card in the situation.
I even tweeted it. I said, I don't think I understand the rules to this game anymore because I don't even find it a controversial. Sorry, not controversial. I don't even. You know how you have some decisions. Like the penalties
challenge
we spoke about before, and we're like, oh, was it handball? I feel like this, we can't even debate about it.
Totally
it's so
out of the question.
Stupid that it's definitely a yellow card. I mean, get me a referee's rule book. I know that there's people out there that looked it up.
The thing is, people are arguing that the attacker was the last woman on the...
She was the last player.
Yeah, but... And that can be argued, but I don't think in the sense that she would have had a chance to actually get the ball.
Well, that's the thing. I think the fact that the ball rolled onto Williams so fast and that you can judge that she's not going to get there just negates the fact that she was the last player because it's like, look, she's not going to end up getting to that ball. It's going to roll onto Williams in the box, no struggle. I mean, Williams is a smart keeper. She's off her line and ready to go. So,
So good. But as well, where was the VAR in that? I'm sorry, VAR has been a big point of this whole World Cup. They're jumping in left, right, centre when they really don't need to be jumping in. VAR can overturn red cards. They can do anything that's in the box and red cards if it's outside of the box. So where the hell were they there? How on earth did they agree that that was a red card?
Well, they went to the VAR.
6-7 different types of referees all at the same time who believe that's a red card. So that's where I know there's been a bit of argument going, a lot of people saying we were robbed. That's the aspect that people are talking about of we were robbed. Like, yes, we didn't play the greatest game we could have played, but that's where we feel like we were robbed because that opportunity right there, that took us down to 10 women.
I think the thing that came after it was worse, where the Norwegian player slide tackled one of our players and she was already on a yellow.
Yeah. And
what should have been a second yellow, a clear yellow card, was never given. Instead, she had a talking to for 5 minutes, and everyone was like, the commentator was like, all right, here she goes, like she's off the field.
That seemed a little bit off. I mean, because it was a pretty reckless challenge, and we all knew she's on her second yellow, and you get that anticipation that she's going to get sent off because even the commentator, it's like, oh, it's a second yellow, she's already on a caution, and we knew.
Great accent.
Thank you. I've been working on it. And we knew that it was a reckless challenge, and we thought, surely, justice, just desserts, my favourite. But no, in the end, it was just a talking to for about 45 seconds, even a minute, and they went on with play.
That's why a lot of people out there are saying we were robbed, because it's those final moments of the, regular time that just destroyed us.
And not only that, but Alana Kennedy's a central part in the defense. She's a key player, and she's good at what she does. It was just very frustrating. Then
extra time.
Yeah. And she would have 100% been one of the penalty kick takers.
Yeah. I think the word that keeps popping into my mind about VAR is the word interpretation, because that's what it comes down to. It's the interpretation of more referees. And looking at the IFAB rules, it says, either denying a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity, was it a reckless challenge? I think I have this inner monologue in myself that thinks like, well, if they've gone to the VAR, professional referees, then I think they've made the right decision. But then I look at it with my own eyes, and I look at the rules and I put it up against it, and I don't think that's a reckless challenge. I don't think it's a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity. And then, that is why the VAR, in my opinion, will never be able to rule out any certainty in decisions, especially to do with red cards.
Well, it's like with anything.
And to do with goal-scoring opportunities.
Yeah, it's like with anything. Once you have more people putting an opinion on a situation, when you have too many leaders, I mean, technically, they're all leaders because they all have a say in what is happening on the pitch. You put too many people on there, it's just human nature. People are going to disagree. We're going to sit here, we're going to debate, we're going to disagree. But unfortunately, we're seeing that on the pitch while we're all sitting there waiting, going, what is about to happen? So in that 3 minutes, which feels like about 15 to all of us viewing, we're watching them all kind of debate it. So you just bring in more people into the situation, and you've got more opinions and more likely arguing, and then they're gonna the ref's gonna think that she's doing the wrong thing, and it's just
Do we win this match if Alana Kennedy isn't sent off in extra time?
I saw something. I saw a tweet where someone said that like Alana Kennedy getting the red was not it didn't affect our gameplay. At the end of the day, she got sent off, but we were still 1-1.
We had to. I mean, I think it did, because in terms of we had to sit back, we had to soak up the pressure. Really, we couldn't. We weren't able to go man for man, woman for woman, and be able to go and grab a winner. Because I think in terms of, I think the commentator mentioned that the Norwegian players, same starting 11 for all 3 matches. We had moved players around, and Australians were naturally more fit. So in that situation, heading into the end of extra time, we may have been able to get, if it was 11 players on the field, may have been able to get a winner.
It's a hard one to argue because, we don't know what would have happened, what could have happened. And as well, sometimes once you're down to 10 men, sometimes the team plays better. Sometimes they get that in them and they actually play a greater game and they end up winning. So you can't say, it just depends on the team on the day. And I think it'd be hard to say if we would have actually still won regardless of, that happening.
To finish up on this segment, I'm going to ask you one question. Were we robbed?
If it goes to penalties, I don't think you could call it robbed.
Do you believe so?
I don't think it's. I'm not going to give you a clear and obvious answer, so I am just going to go with no. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt
VAR
to the
for that answer, because I think it is a clear and obvious answer. Because you said before, you said before that it looked like robbed.
It's not
the Alana Kennedy decision.
Yes, but there's many different aspects of that game. You can go. I think
we were robbed of calls.
We were robbed of calls, but I wouldn't call the overall game a robbing.
Yeah.
Is that a term?
Yeah, robbery.
Personally, what's happening?
Personally, I think our game wasn't won or lost because of the referee's decisions. I think we missed enough chances to say that if we score those, the game's different, and that's where we lost the match. Really, for me personally, we're going to have more conversation about the Matildas versus Norway and the aftermath of the loss in the round of 16 right after this. Welcome back to Talking Tildas. Well, the aftermath of the Matildas' loss to Norway in the round of 16 prompted a lot of conversation. Was it a failure? Should we have done better? Should we be proud of their performances, or were they good enough? Well, guys, we'll start off with the first question. Is getting knocked out in the round of 16 a failure at this World Cup?
Yes.
Yes?
I think for this current squad that we have put together, then yes, it is.
Well, because, we all made our separate predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was quarterfinals or semi-finals.
I said
around
semis,
there.
and then we lost, and then I said quarterfinals.
Okay, so you said semis, and then
I was
you
on
said,
like cloud nine.
She was on cloud nine. I said
cup.
I said quarterfinals. And to be honest, my prediction of quarterfinals was extremely optimistic. I thought this is a World Cup which maybe a year ago we were going into where we were extremely confident.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if circumstances were different, I might have been saying yes, semi-finals, perhaps quarterfinals again, semi-finals. But leading up to this World Cup, you kind of thought that,
like all the off-field drama that has happened made you think that we're less likely to get this done.
Also the friendlies leading up to it.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I found it interesting how this isn't having a dig at you guys, but people expecting us to win the World Cup, expecting us to win. It's like that is an enormous feat to win the World Cup for a squad that's around 24 or 25 years old, haven't hit their primes yet. Considering what's been going on off the field 6 months ago with the removal of a coach, the rolling snowball effect of what's been going on in camp and around the coach's sacking that has been probably impacting them whilst they've been in camp. The new coach doesn't have any experience in women's football, doesn't have any first team experience coaching either. And to top it all off, the pre-World Cup friendlies, 5-3 loss to the United States, 3-0 loss to the Netherlands. Leading up to the World Cup, as the days got shorter and shorter, I felt less and less confident that this team could make it to the semi-finals, but I thought it was unfounded, the belief that we could win this World Cup. I didn't think this was a possible World Cup that we should have been thinking about winning. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, last year I was definitely like, we got this in the bag. We can win this. And then obviously, coach gets fired. We get a new coach, and then we win the Cup of Nations, at home. But we're not versing teams that are, I guess, a certain level of skill that might be a challenge for us.
Well, in terms of the Cup of Nations, like teams like New Zealand, Argentina,
so New Zealand,
teams that we
Argentina,
played,
South Korea. So obviously Argentina, it's been a long time since they've been in the World Cup. They've had a lot of off-field dramas as well. So I knew we would easily, win.
Never mind that we played Chile in a friendly.
Yeah, well, Chile beat Australia as well, so
turn the tide after it though.
Calm down, all right. But yeah, we have all these friendlies, but when we come up against the tough teams like the US, the Netherlands, we just get destroyed.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I thought against European teams, especially. I mean, we've lost to Norway, losing to France, losing to Portugal in 2018. Rose, did you think that the goal of winning the World Cup was really stretching it? Did you think that was a real extreme, or did you think that it could possibly be done?
I legitimately thought that both. That yes, it is extreme, but yes, it can be done. Because I mean, I probably shouldn't speak for most people because I'm a little bit like that when it comes to anything that's knockout. So when any World Cup comes around, if you've ever seen me during the FFA Cup, you'll know why. Because when it comes to knockout games, and it all depends on who's in your group, who your opponents are, but as well, I thought that before I saw us step on the pitch this World Cup. See, my predictions after I saw us step on the pitch and how we were playing were completely different. I mean, I know, yes, you had the friendlies and they were a bit of an insight as to how they would play, but I just kind of thought, well, that was just friendlies. Like, they'll learn from their mistakes. They'll rejig a few things and, they'll come out stronger.
It's what we hoped, but I don't think it's exactly what we managed to get out of this World Cup. I think we're going to jump into a conversation that a lot of people don't want to have, but I think it is necessary now that the World Cup is over for the Matildas that we should at least think about. Not if Alan Stadges was in charge, would we have done better, but was the appointment of Milicic something that was a point of difference here? If we perhaps appointed somebody, considering Stadges left, is it if we appointed somebody with experience in women's football, maybe a bit more pedigree, we could have done better?
I think yes to all of that. I think if it was someone who had worked with women's football, maybe it would have been different. But I also think had things gone a different way with how they went about the sacking. You know, it was just so mysterious. No one knew what was going on, and it was just like a media, you know, poop
circus.
storm.
Yeah, circus.
And the
You know?
girls can say all they want, but how is that not going to affect you? Like, how can that
I think
not
it's
affect
impossible
you?
to not affect.
You know, it has to affect you. But as well, you know, nothing to Milicic himself. I'm sure, you know, he's absolutely fantastic with past experience he's done with coaching. But it's not like they sacked a coach because they wanted to promote him. They sacked a coach and they went, oh, we don't have a coach, let's find one. And then they went and found one. I mean, I'm sure they had their, you know,
it was
short
also
list.
something about money. I think there was a lot of talks about how much Stadge was getting or something. Like when I don't know if you read the whole thing, like the statement the FFA put out, but there was some weird section where they were talking about payment or whatever.
I think at this point in time, you take anything that the FFA says about the sacking with a grain of salt.
But
because
that's the thing,
because a lot of people mentioned that a reason that the FFA gave was because of performances and form. Which, if you look at his form, and I have his form here, is rather ridiculous. 16 matches in 2018, 7 wins, 5 draws and 4 losses. Those losses came against France, Portugal, Asian Cup final against Japan, and a few months later we beat Japan 2-0 and rectified that result, although it wasn't in a cup final. And his last match was a 5-0 win against Chile. So personally, that I think dispels the results.
But another thing, is 6 months enough time to learn your squad, to get to know your squad? Was there enough team building?
It never is.
You know,
If you're appointing a coach 6 months before a World Cup, it's a hatchet job.
In a national team, I know I've said this before on the show, but you know, you're not with each other day in, day out. He's not with these girls day in, day out. He has to learn them, learn their style. I mean, yes, you can watch all the videos you want to watch, but you need to learn what they're like personally. You need to use them to their strengths. I just don't think he used certain players to their strengths.
The thing that we're lucky about in our national team is that a lot of the players play together or in the same leagues.
They're okay, but him, you know, once you add that, I mean,
And
that's excellent that they play together.
So, because Stadge was the Sydney FC coach a little while ago before taking over as the national team coach, and a lot of the girls played under him beforehand, you know, so I think there was already that bond that they had with Stadge, and so I think, you know, it only made sense that they would succeed under him and, you know, then obviously go on to be a team that was, you know, looking to be one of the favourites for the World Cup. You know, but obviously he's gone and now, you know, the team and everybody just had to kind of be like, okay, well, good luck.
Yeah. See you later. Who's this guy? Now we've got to get to know this guy.
I think
and they have to trust him. They have to build their trust to this new guy.
Now that this World Cup is over and we have, well, as we've agreed, fallen short of our expectations, it was definitely the wrong decision to get rid of him. I think we can all agree that, you know, everybody agrees that the way that it was done was absolutely appalling. And it makes us quite upset as football fans, and especially fans of the Matildas. And really, if you look at it from a broader scope, as Australians just supporting our national team, this was a World Cup, don't get me wrong, that I thought that we could have definitely pushed. We could have made the quarterfinals. Of course we could have punched towards the semis. But what we shouldn't lose sight of is the fact that the 2023 World Cup is going to be one where Australia is going to be extremely strong. You're talking about players like Sam Kerr, Steph Catley, Chloe Lagazzo, all these players, Alana Kennedy, heading into their later 20s and into their early 30s. This is when they're going to be in their prime. So the 2023 World Cup, pray to God that we could possibly host it. I doubt it though, considering what's been going on with FIFA and the way that we've handled ourselves at the top brass in the last few months. But
I don't think our federation
be optimistic about the 2023 World Cup because that is the World Cup that we should have been feeling about the way we are now. Making a final, winning it, the next World Cup is the one where we could do just that. We'll be right back with more of Talking Tildas.
Perfect.
Welcome back to Talking Tildas. Well, moving on from the Matildas, we are going to jump into another controversial topic that we saw in the round of 16. England versus Cameroon. England ran away 3-0 winners, but it wasn't without its VAR drama. England leading goal for Ellen White. That was checked for VAR for offside. Ellen wasn't offside, but the Cameroon players decided to nearly boycott or go on strike in the middle of the match, standing in a circle in the middle of the field before play was resumed again. Unfortunately for Cameroon, they ended up pulling one back for 2-1, but it was checked by VAR and it was ruled out as well. In our opinion, perhaps extremely harshly for that second goal, for Cameroon's first goal, but it was almost a tipping point. Cameroon players were extremely frustrated, and you could see, and it was having an impact on the match, the flow of the match, and it was extremely difficult for the referees to be able to handle it. But Phil Neville, England's coach, at the end of the match, thought it was a bit of a disgrace. Do you agree?
Yeah. Did you see the Cameroon player spit on one of the England
True.
players?
Yeah, I did see that.
I think if you're a professional in whatever, realm of work that you do, you always have to be professional. You can't.
So you never spit on your colleagues?
Oh, I spit on the customers all the time, especially the crying babies. But that's not here and there. But
Well, we all have experiences,
Customer service, am I right?
Yeah. But regardless, you're a football player. You're there to play football, not have a protest in the middle of the field because something doesn't go your way. All right, this isn't Sunday League. I watched my friend, get in a headlock at his game, and then the referee didn't even give the goalkeeper who was, put him in a headlock a red card. They just kept playing the game, And I think they really needed to just, get a big old whooping because it was disgusting. It was disgraceful.
Well, for their goal, I mean, personally, I think it was extremely harsh. Their goal being ruled out.
Cameroon player was all the way offside.
Well, and then bringing it back. I mean, it was millimeters. And you got to think at that point, if there's no VAR, use the naked eye. You give the attacking team the benefit of the doubt. Even with VAR, you give the attacking team benefit of the doubt, and they didn't. And I can understand why they're so upset.
Yeah.
But Rose, do you think they went over the top?
Yeah, they went over the top.
I think so.
It's
not necessary.
Hugging the players to make sure they weren't gonna attack or anything.
Yeah.
It's a tough decision though, because I agree with Phil Neville. I think you're there at a World Cup, you're there to play in a knockout match, and during the match, I mean, we know adrenaline's running and emotions are high, but you have to think, okay, the decision's been given. You're not convincing the referee otherwise.
Yeah.
The only person that's convincing the referee is people in VAR or their assistants. So at that point, I think it's just may as well just get on with the game.
And you're representing your country. You know, have some respect for the people of your country, because you're going out there, and they're gonna see you behaving like that. It makes you I feel like the people from that country would be embarrassed to be like.
Just imagine soccer Twitter if Australia did that.
Yeah, it'd be awful.
There'd
I'd
be
so
pitchforks
embarrassed.
like the Simpsons gif.
Big
With
meteorites falling from the sky.
Oh my lord!
Yeah.
As if A-bombs were going off in Bankstown. It would be chaos.
We're going off topic now.
It'd be like the Hindenburg falling.
When you're representing a nation, you be the best representative you can be of that nation.
Yeah.
And it even goes back to the whole US, drama. Be the best representative you can be for your country. That doesn't mean you have to go out and celebrate, the 53rd goal. 53rd? Is that a word? It is a word.
Yes,
My brain is not working.
Right.
But, you don't have to go and celebrate, whatever goal you just scored, past 7 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be the best representative for your nation, because that's going to be the most important thing, and that's what people will remember as well about you as a player.
Wise words from Michelle Morris. But guys, before we finished off, we had a couple of goofs from our Sunday league. Michelle, how'd you go on the weekend? Good performance?
We won 3-0.
Yeah.
So we're still top of the league. Feel free to come to the grand final. I'll let you guys know when it's on, because we're definitely making it. But I got a bit of an injury. Got an X-ray on my ankle and an ultrasound done today. Get the results in tomorrow or the day after.
Positive vibes only.
Positive vibes only.
Positive vibes only.
Yep.
I want to be back playing.
We need her in the grand final.
Yeah.
When I say we, I mean we're all a big community now. We follow Michelle Morris.
Yeah, we support the Wake Coast Tigers. Come out and support.
Wake Coast Tigers. Come out and support Balmain Bastoni as well on the weekends. So we only had.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right, get your coffees, get your beers, sit down because this is going to be a big story. We began the match with 9 players against 11. Balmain versus Cooks River Titans. We take the lead 1-0. I was captain, by the way, just quietly.
Nice.
But we took the lead 1-0. We go into half-time. One of our teammates has dislocated his shoulder. He has to leave, so we're down to 8. We begin the second half. I usually play centre forward, but at this point I was playing left back, right back, goalkeeper, I don't know where. We ended up scoring another goal against 11 players. 8 against 11 players. And then one of our guys actually broke his ankle. So we were down to 7.
Jesus.
We were down to 7 players
Defending
a 2-0 victory. It felt like D-Day because the field was terrible. It was just dirt. You couldn't see the line. It was just players hacking at each other. I think I kicked someone in the head. I don't know what happened, but we ended up... Yeah, we do. They're crap. Don't worry about it. There is actually a problem in our district. They threatened to shut it down, Canterbury District Soccer, because there were so many yellow and red cards.
So now they're just letting it fly?
Well, I hope so. I don't know. I'm expecting a fine in the mail in the next day or two. But we ended up holding on for a 2-2 draw. Top of the league still. So come watch us play against the other Balmain team that's in our comp on Sunday. 3 o'clock, Eastern Park. I'll see you there.
I don't even know where I'm playing next week. If I'm playing next week.
Well, actually, you know, is actually interesting that problem there for Canterbury District. There was actually some instances where they threatened to shut down the comp because there was actually racial and religious discrimination in over 35s and even in like under 12 age groups for
like
some kind of discrimination, religious and racial, which was unbelievable. So,
That's nuts.
Well, I'm going to jump into
parents,
the
make sure you
positive
keep your kids
thing
in
here.
line. Okay, go in.
Well, I'm going to jump into some positivity. So we had a giveaway. Now, if you were watching the last episode, we had a big competition, massive competition. So the winner of the competition will win a lovely pair of Kuiper's sunglasses. And now the competition was that you had to meme us in any way, Photoshop, meme, whatever on earth you wanted to do.
Can I just say, a lot of you guys have way too much time on your hands.
Way too much.
I say not enough.
Way too much, honestly. It was so good. I think we enjoyed all the entries. But I think that we haven't even discussed this because there was just one overruling.
I vetoed it for one reason.
Vetoed it.
Because she wasn't in it.
Me and Michelle were a little bit offended that we weren't in it, but anyway, it didn't fit the story. It didn't fit the story.
I fit in every story.
Our big winner is Evan with, I don't even know how to describe what it is, so, make sure you head on to our Twitter page.
Evan Morgan Graham.
We have retweeted it. I think I've retweeted like 3 or 4 times by this point. So he has won himself a lovely pair of Kuiper's sunnies. And I also decided to give a... participation award. Let's call it that, right?
They deserve it. They deserve
it. So we're going to give 2 mugs. We're going to send 2 mugs over to the Daily Football Show. One because Fruch was actually in that meme, and he's got nothing to do with TLL, but he was stuck in a meme which was about him and Chrissy on their wedding day. So he gets a free mug because he's a great sport. And we're also going to give one to Joey Lynch because he's been entering this competition for the past year.
It's Joey Lynch.
And he's Joey Lynch. He supports us. He wears his TLL jersey everywhere and he makes tons of memes of us and is so supportive. So, Daily Football Show, expect your mugs in the mail.
Good on you guys. Well, also one more other announcement. The registrations are closed for this Saturday, 4 p.m. at Ultra Football for the FIFA tournament. We're going to be there hosting it. Registrations to play are closed, but of course you can all rock up, see our beautiful faces,
Heaps of room.
have something to eat, have a conversation.
Pizza.
We'll talk
I
about,
can't wait to have lunch. Pizza. So good.
We'll talk about VAR. We can talk about Matildas. The White Paper Second Division.
You're going to need 4
W
hours.
League expansion. Come find me. I might set up a booth. You can talk to me about anything.
They do actually have a booth
there.
there.
What you had for dinner.
Yeah.
The way
Roots.
the way I make sauce for pasta, I'll give you a secret recipe. No, okay, but we're going to be there, Ultra Football, this Saturday, 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. It's going to be a great time. Jump along. Thank you so much for watching episode 6 of Talking Tildas. I've been your host, Nicholas Rupolo, alongside Michelle Morris and Rose Valente. We will see you guys next week. Until then, enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy all the football. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.